and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681, offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Just about half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and plenty to get to over the next 2 hours. Koki Riley just got done speaking with Jay Johnson and Michael Braswell over at LSU. He'll chat with us in 15 minutes, as he always does. So What If Wednesday, we'll talk a little bit about that. I got some bets for the PGA Championship firing up tomorrow in Louisville, Kentucky. The Saints' schedule will come out tonight. What are some of the things that are starting to leak out? I think we got primetime action with Sean Payton coming back to New Orleans. And, of course, SEC Baseball Power Rankings at 2:30, as is tradition. I will start here today by looking at the NCAA tournament bubble. This was not really an intention of mine, but I just started looking around this morning and thought, well, why not? I'll be completely honest with you. When we're talking about top eights and regional host sites, I do this a lot in May. Like, that's generally speaking where we are. 2 years ago, LSU was right there on the fringe of a host in Jay Johnson's first year, ended up going to Hattiesburg and having to play in that regional. Last year, you were thinking around the time they were dropping 2 of 3 to Auburn and Mississippi State, maybe they were losing their grasp on that top 8 seed, so we were looking at that. And that's generally where my focus is this time of year. Obviously, this year, as LSU enters the final weekend of conference play at 10-17 in the league, we're not doing that. It's a completely different exercise. And I'll be honest with you, as I got into it, it opened my eyes a lot. I did not see what I thought I was going to see. So I realized that this segment can be a little bit difficult when I've got all the numbers in front of me and you don't. You're driving, you're working out, you're at work, you're listening to a podcast. Like, you're not diving into these numbers with me. I'm just telling them to you. And I realize I can get moving pretty quickly when we talk about different teams and different numbers and all of that. So I'll do my best to try to pare this down. But my point is a very clear one at the end of this. LSU right now, as you know, is 33-20. They're 10-17 in league play, which is the most important metric for LSU at this point, because all the other ones, relative to the rest of the bubble, are phenomenal. Your RPI is 35. That's better than any team I'm going to talk about here. The best of any team I'm going to talk about. Your strength of schedule is 18. That is far and away better than anybody I'm about to talk about. Your non-conference strength of schedule is 137th. That's pretty average for what we're talking about here. But what I'm going to do is go to the 4 teams that Baseball America today said were in the field of 64, and LSU is out. The first is Virginia Tech. That's an ACC team. LSU's overall record and Virginia Tech's record are pretty comparable. LSU's got 33 wins. Virginia Tech's got 32. The RPI, LSU's is 9 spots better, significantly better. In Quad 1, LSU is better. LSU's 5-11. Virginia Tech is 3-10. So LSU's better across the board here. Strength of schedule is 18th. Virginia Tech's is 76th. Non-conference strength of schedule, so take the SEC out of it. LSU's is 137th. Virginia Tech's is 271. LSU's way better across the board. And oh, by the way, Virginia Tech has lost 5 consecutive ACC series. That's who's on the bubble. 5 straight series losses in the league, RPI in the 50s, 3 Quad 1 wins. They're in, LSU is out. Why? LSU's 10-17 in the SEC. Virginia Tech is 14-13 in the ACC. We can continue. James Madison, 30-20. LSU's record is better than that. LSU's 33-20. James Madison is in the Sun Belt. Their RPI is 47. LSU's just 12 spots better. Quad 1, James Madison's 4-7. LSU's 5-11. Strength of schedule, LSU 18, James Madison 41. 23 spots. James Madison actually did go to Arkansas this year, and they went 1-3. LSU went 0-3. But James Madison is 15-12 in the Sun Belt, even though all the other metrics are worse, and LSU is 10-17. It's just James Madison didn't go to Knoxville. They didn't go to Starkville. I could keep going here. Let's talk about Illinois, who D1 baseball has got in the field. Illinois is 57 in the RPI. LSU is 22 spots better than that. Illinois is 4-10 in quad 1. LSU's 5-11. Strength of schedule, Illinois 86th. LSU's is 18th. But Illinois is leading the Big Ten. They're 15-6 in the Big Ten. Has Illinois gotten any taste of SEC baseball? Anything like LSU has played for the last 10 weeks? Oh, actually they did. They went to Knoxville. They played the Vols. How'd that go? Well, Tennessee won that 3-game set 38-7. 31 runs difference over 3 games. But Illinois is leading the Big Ten. Somebody's got to get in from the Big Ten. And I would argue if Illinois doesn't, if they win the league and don't win the conference tournament, 2 teams might get in from the Big Ten. Now, the Big Ten in baseball, to me, in basketball, is like, the Colonial Athletic Association. Like, they're not good teams. We'll go back to Baseball America. Central Florida. They got them in. LSU's out. Central Florida's RPI is 41. That's 6 spots behind LSU. They are 3-7 against quad 1. 2 less wins than LSU. Strength of schedule, 36th. LSU's 18th. That's an 18-spot difference. Non-conference strength of schedule for UCF, 148. LSU's is better than that by 11 spots. And UCF's not even doing well in the Big 12. They're 12-14. But they got them in because LSU's conference record is 10-17. LSU's metrics are better than every single team on this page, except for conference record. And here's the deal. Mark Etheridge, who we had on yesterday, who was on D1 Baseball's Nerdcast, that you can find on all your podcast apps right now, brought up the point. He said, look, guys, at some point, the selection committee is going to have to shift its favoritism with these metrics toward the SEC and ACC because this sport has regionalized. The Pac-12 is literally gone. The programs that were once very, very proud, like UC Irvine and Cal State Fullerton and Long Beach State, have crumbled financially under the weight of these new television contracts. And all the good players are moving. So we've got to take that into account when we're trying to put together the best tournament we can possibly put together. That's Mark Etheridge talking, not me. I agree with him, but here's what I say May 15th of 2024. I refuse to go to bat for LSU for going 12-18 in the league if they win 2 out of 3 this weekend. I'm not going to do it. Here's the way I feel about it. You've never been in a more advantageous situation than you are right now. You are able, as LSU, to go out and get Jacob Berry, the National Freshman of the Year, to come to LSU. You are able to go to North Carolina State and get the National Freshman of the Year in Tommy White to come to LSU. You were able to go to UCLA and get their top 2 pitching prospects to come pitch in your rotation. UCLA, Arizona, NC State. I'm not talking about Southeastern down the highway. You were able to go get Paul Skeens from Air Force. You've got the ability with your booster base and the interest down here to create NIL funds that most schools around the country do not have. You are in such an advantageous spot. You cannot go out there, go 12-18, and cry poor. I can say with 100% conviction that LSU would be a more formidable team in the postseason than Illinois. I can say the same thing about Indiana, James Madison, Virginia Tech, St. John's. I'm confident. We've seen LSU play in the non-conference. They kicked everybody's butts. Everybody they played in the non-conference, they crushed. They had a 3-hour absolute brain fart against Southern. Other than that, it's been a clinic. But you as LSU must go to Fayetteville and win a baseball game. You as LSU must go to Knoxville and win a baseball game. You have got to find some semblance of a baseball team on game 3s, Saturday or Sunday, depending on what day the series starts. And LSU was unable to do any of that. 1-8 on Sundays. Swept in Knoxville, swept in Fayetteville. Can't sweep Auburn, can't sweep Missouri. So I'm just priming you for 2 weeks from yesterday after we talk about Selection Monday. I'll say this. If LSU sweeps Ole Miss, as I said on Monday and as I said yesterday, they're in. The metrics will be awesome. Ole Miss will be toast. I think Florida's out, and that's kind of who you're jostling with. But I'm not going to sit here and go through all these numbers to complain 2 weeks from now. I'm laying them out to you because I think they're interesting. I think it's interesting that Baseball America says Virginia Tech, who's 3-10 in quad one with an RPI in the 50s that has lost 5 straight series, is in and LSU's not. Basically, all I can suggest is because they have 4 more conference wins and they're above 500 in the ACC as opposed to the SEC. Hadn't beaten anybody in a league in a month and a half, but the wins are there. And that's what Baseball America says. I can look at Illinois, who had one taste of what LSU gets and were wiped off the field. And then went up there and beat up on Purdue and Nebraska and Penn State, and now they're in the field. Maybe one day the committee will determine, like the softball committee has, hey, all the good teams are in this one league, we got to let them all in. And this year, they put every softball team in the NCAA tournament. All 13 teams. Danny doesn't play. All 13 softball teams are in. That's not going to happen to the SEC. They are not going to sit there and go, yeah, you know, I know that Florida's got a lot more talent and LSU's got a lot more talent and Ole Miss has got double the quad one wins of Indiana. But we're not just going to put them all in. It's just, I don't see it happening. I'd be thrilled if I was wrong. And I do believe that there will be some discussion in that room should LSU and Ole Miss both get to 12 wins. If LSU takes 2 out of 3 this weekend and they both have 12 conference wins, they will be discussed in that room. And I believe they will both be left out. And you cannot sit here as Ole Miss or LSU and determine that you're going to cry poor because you went 12-18 in the league. Your job when you show up in March is to beat the best teams in the country. And if you don't, you're at home in June. And LSU had their opportunities against really, really good teams. And they came up on the short end. I mean, if you look at the RPI in college baseball right now, as I did yesterday, Kentucky's 1, A&M's 2, Georgia's 3, Arkansas's 4, Tennessee's 6. That is 5 of the top 6. And LSU played 9 games against those top 6, and you were only able to win 2. You're 2-7. That's a trip to Cape Cod, not the regionals. So that's the way I feel. You feel differently as an LSU fan? You think you should get in? I can't sit here and tell you that you're wrong. I will just tell you that I'm not gonna drop to that standard. I hemmed and hawed and screamed in 2011 when they got left out with the last team in for St. John's. We sit here 13 years later, and I'm changing my tune on that. You want to get in? Go sweep Ole Miss. We'll see. Our baseball breakdown is brought to you by Pluckers all season long. Talk a little bit more baseball. Koki Riley covers the team for The Advocate. He's with us next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be, where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. It's NFL schedule release day, what we know, what to look forward to, and we'll start previewing LSU Ole Miss in baseball. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Baseball breakdowns all season long brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar in Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Breggie's Creole Crush, brand new sauce over there. Alex Bregman, spices inspired. It's got some heat to it, great flavor. Get on by Pluckers at the end of this weekend. Watch some baseball, eat some delicious wings. Pluckers bringing our baseball breakdowns all season long. Speaking of baseball, Koki Riley covers the baseball squad for The Advocate. Joins us now as he does each and every Wednesday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Koki, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Let's go back to last Friday. Christian little wobbly there in the 7th inning. Goes to 2 3-0 counts, but does find his way out of it. And then Jay Johnson decides to start him again in the 8th inning instead of Griffin Herron, and we know how that went with that 4-run lead. What did you make of that decision?
I think it was the fine and right decision because we have a 4-run lead. You'd rather not throw your best reliever out there and burn your second best reliever, right? You just sort of figure that he can get out of it. Once he gave a 2-run home run, I think he made the right decision to take him out. And I think the reason why he faced another batter who ended up reaching was because that guy was a righty. So I think they wanted to maybe squeeze one more out of him because it was the righty-righty matchup, right? So I would have done the same thing personally, and I don't think they lost that game because of management. I think they lost that game because of execution. It's simple as that. And if you still want to blame that on the coaching, that's totally fine. That's very fair. But at the same time, in-game management, I don't think is why they lost that series.
How tough couple of one-run losses for LSU in Tuscaloosa in terms of the morale of the team?
I think the first loss was very tough, and the last loss was extremely tough as well. I mean, the first loss for very obvious reasons, and then for the second loss, it just felt like they put everything out there on the line. They did everything that you're quote unquote supposed to do in terms of energy, effort, all that sort of stuff to win a baseball game, and then they just didn't, and that's pretty deflating. And they just that team felt very deflated after that second loss, and how they sort of bounced back from that. Heading into this weekend, we'll see.
Chatting with Koki Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate. Going back to kind of what we saw in that game and now looking forward to what they've got to do this weekend, do you think Jay is going to manage this thing to get any game he possibly can, or do you think he is going to kind of think of the entire weekend as he manages? And I say that, just talking about that Friday decision, it felt like he was managing that game on Friday to try to win the weekend as opposed to just one game, which is why he's trying to squeeze a little bit more out of Christian Little. Do you think he manages the same way this weekend?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think he kind of does that every weekend, in the fact that if he can save a guy for an extra few outs, or not have to pitch a guy as much, or be able to not really have to pitch him at all, he'll do it. He'll try to take that opportunity. And there's just a very fine line you have to sort of balance with that, right? Do you do that when you're up by 4 runs, or do you do that when you're up by 2 runs? When do you push the button to be like, all right, we have to win this game right here, right now? And what's the score? What's the situation based on that? And I think that's the fine line he's been trying to walk this entire season, and I think that Alabama game was kind of the perfect example of that.
So did he announce his starting rotation when y'all met with him today?
Yeah, actually just got announced on a press release to us, and there's no surprises
Yeah.
For the LSU side, at least. There's to be announced on Saturday, and then Gage Jump tomorrow, and Luke Holman on Friday.
Are Ole Miss's starters listed?
Yes, I can hold that up for you right now, but give me.
I'm most curious. I'll fill a little bit while you look, but I'm most curious to see where Liam Doyle goes, because he's far and away the best talent that they have on that Ole Miss staff, and he's been their best guy all year long. They've kind of had to shuffle things around in the starting rotation and the bullpen to figure some things out, and their defense hasn't helped them at all. But Doyle is the one guy that can go out there and potentially could give you 7 one-run innings if he's on that day, and that's the guy that I would imagine will probably match up with Holman because he's gone in game 2s. But I'm just curious to see if Mike Bianco is going to go with that or change things up a bit.
No, you nailed it right on the head. It's Riley Maddox on game 1 tomorrow, and then Liam Doyle for game 2, and then game 3 they have Mason Nichols. Okay. So that's kind of what Ole Miss is rolling out with. And Ole Miss is one of the weaker pitching teams in the entire conference, just in terms of team ERA and SEC play. But offensively, they're a pretty good team. So that's something we're definitely keep an eye out for. I mean, Luke Hill was a guy who I think many people thought was going to transfer to LSU, would be LSU shortstop this season. He went to Ole Miss instead. And they have a bunch of guys kind of like that who have played pretty good baseball this season offensively. It's been the pitching that's been the thing for Ole Miss this season. I mean, that's kind of held them back in some ways, but it's just gonna be a massive series for both these teams. And I think LSU is the more desperate team to win this, to not just win the series, but sweep the series. But if Ole Miss loses this series, even if they don't get swept, they're in a really tough spot too. So it's gonna be a really, really massive weekend for sure.
Did Jay Johnson talk about what the team has to accomplish this weekend to play in postseason? I know he's brought it up a little bit over the last 3 weeks.
Not as much. Not today, really. I don't know if that was a failure on our part or he just didn't really want to get into it. But it's every game's a playoff game, and they got to win them as many as they can. And one thing he did specifically mention was just that, the more we win, the better chance we have of survival. And, just using that specific word, survival, is kind of just a nice way to sort of sum up where they're at right now.
Hayden Travinski's kind of hit the skids. One for his last 21, didn't play in the game on Sunday. Expect to see him back in there tomorrow night?
Yeah. My guess is that Sunday game was a time where he can kind of reset his brain in terms of where he is as a hitter. But they need his production at the plate, and not having that production this past weekend did hurt them. And if he was on and right, he would have played Sunday, and they probably score that that fourth run. So they need him, and I think there's not really much of a debate to that.
The Kling-Brown discussion, I think, has been one that we've talked about a ton. Where do you stand on that right now?
It's going to be kind of matchup dependent, of course, but I've actually warmed up to the idea of just playing Kling out there a little bit more. I think his at-bats have been much better as of late. He still gets on base a ton. And then defensively, he's their best defensive outfielder, so I think that's always that never hurts. But I did think Jake Brown had some really good at-bats on Sunday, and against a certain matchup, against a certain righty, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in there as a starter at some point this weekend again. So, or maybe they don't play Travinski and they DH Larson and both of them play. So I wouldn't be surprised in any of those scenarios at this point.
What do you think happens this weekend?
I tend to lean them winning 2 out of 3, but not sweeping, and they need the sweep. So I would be hard-pressed to see them sweeping this weekend just because this means so much for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is still a pretty decent team, and this LSU team has been allergic to sweeping teams this season, if I'm being, bluntly honest. So I'm leaning 2 out of 3, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if they lose the series as well. In excruciatingly tight fashion like they did last weekend. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those two things. I don't think there's going to be a sweep on either side. That would be pretty surprising to me. I guess if I had to lean which side would sweep more, my guess would be LSU just because they're at home. But but either way, it's going to be 2 out of 1 for one of these teams, and it's going to be close to figure out who actually gets that second win.
Koki, we appreciate some time. See you at the box this weekend.
I'll see you there. Thank you.
He's Koki Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate, covering the Tigers all season long, joining us each and every Wednesday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We will step aside when we come back. I'm really excited for What If Wednesday. There's one on there that you'll learn something in What If Wednesday if you hang around. So come back after this.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you look at your tub and it's kind of dirty and it's old and dingy and you don't ever get in it, you only use it for a shower anyway, sick of dealing with a shower curtain that's got, just don't deal with it. Get a brand new walk-in shower. It's a tub to shower conversion. David Duvall and his team do it all the time, and they were happy to help you with that. It starts with a free consultation. They'll tell you what they can do. And a tub to shower conversion is something that's price friendly and time friendly. It's not going to take much time. Get that tub that you never use out of there, put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home as well. And they are happy to help you with it at One Bath and Closets. Check out the website. It's OneBathAndClosets.com. You can get that free consultation there. You can see pictures of their awesome work, see the testimonials from their satisfied clients, and start the process today with David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. If you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, $1,000 off of your project. It's One Bath and Closets, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Hennigrove, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Perle Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza. We'll get you ready for the final weekend of SEC baseball and keep you up to date on the PGA Championship. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't have to work week in the rearview mirror. Thanks for hanging out with us here on a Wednesday. Saints schedule starting to leak out. We'll talk a little bit about that in hour number 2. My SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming at you in hour number 2 as well. PGA cranks up from Louisville, Kentucky at Valhalla Country Club tomorrow. I've got some bets we hit for the Masters. It was just one hit, but it was enough to cover the number. So we'll see what we can do here in the next segment. But for right now, I'm very excited for What If Wednesday.
Space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, first one here. This is a little bit of inside baseball for those who aren't really big into college baseball, but there is a team called Maryland Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
And they are currently winless.
They are.
And so what happens? What if Maryland Eastern Shore gets swept by Sacred Heart, who I'm not sure is a real juggernaut this weekend?
They're a juggernaut compared to Maryland Eastern Shore. The Eagles have had a tough go of things. Their hashtag for their athletics is soar above and beyond. They have not done that on the diamond this spring. As you mentioned, they are 0-45. That to me seems impossible. Like one day you would hit a couple of gappers, get a couple of guys out, roll a double play up. One day you would win and you would not go 0-45. So I had to start digging into Maryland Eastern Shore baseball to see what has happened to the Hawks. I think I said they were the Eagles earlier. They're the Hawks. That's another loss, 0-46. They have only lost 3 of those 45 games by 1 run. So they haven't even really been in a lot of games. They lost a 3-game series to Merrimack. I couldn't tell you where that is or how good their squad is. I'm sure it's not great. They lost that series 40-5. They gave up 59 runs in 3 games. That's almost 20 a game to Fairleigh Dickinson. You go, well, maybe Fairleigh Dickinson's good. They're not. They're under 500, 23-27. They gave up 43 last weekend in 3 games to Delaware State. The lowest ERA on their team, the lowest ERA for any pitcher on their team is 8.10. The only exception to that, and I got to bring up my guy, Quentin Smith. His ERA is 0 for the year. He has 1 appearance. He threw 1 inning, and in that 1 inning, he gave up a hit and 2 walks. So the bases were loaded, but he obviously got out of it and didn't allow a run.
Merrimack is in Massachusetts.
Excellent. Probably great. Cape Cod there, crab cakes and stuff. No, that's Maryland.
No, that's Maryland.
Oh, well, same thing. Okay. So other than Quentin Smith, everyone else's ERA is 8.1 or higher. There are 11 guys on the team that have double-digit ERAs. And I got to be real honest, it's been a tough go for my guy Lee Bird this year on the mound for the Hawks. He's thrown 4 innings this year. He's walked 16 guys and given up 19 earned runs in 4 innings. So it's been a tough go for my guy Lee Bird, the entire pitching staff. How about offensively? How's Maryland Eastern Shore looking? Well, they've got 9 guys on their team that have 10 or more starts, hitting under 250. I feel terrible for Bronson Taylor. Bronson Taylor, for Maryland Eastern Shore, has gone out there this year, hit .374, 4 homers, slugging .606.
He's raking.
On base of .436, OPS over 1,000, and his team has not won a game, and they've been playing since mid-February. Maryland Eastern Shore, if they get swept this weekend, might go down as the worst college baseball team of all time. And I say that with no joy in my heart. But how could you possibly go 0-45? It just seems... I think they're going to win one this weekend.
They're going to win.
We're going to check on
that
on
because
Monday.
You know what?
I think they win one.
We talked about this in college basketball season last year. Remember there was a team
that was
over and
Basketball,
they won.
I can see it. Baseball, I cannot. You have to win a game. A game.
They play a lot more games, so makes sense. But
that's enough Maryland Eastern Shore for this Wednesday edition.
Moving on, these are from Twitter. This one is, what if you were only allowed 1 condiment / sauce for hamburgers and hot dogs for the rest of your life? Which one is it?
Oh, no. This is going to be bad.
It's the easiest question in the world.
This is going to be bad.
It's very simple.
It's mayonnaise.
No, it's not.
It is.
You're wrong.
Mayonnaise is delicious. Mayonnaise
you don't put mayonnaise on a hot dog, Hunt.
Absolutely you do. Absolutely you do. It's fantastic.
What?
Tastes great. Oh, yeah. When I used to cover LSU baseball, they have free hot dogs in the press box. I was knocking down mayo packets all year. February into June.
Mayonnaise on a hot dog.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the greatest condiment ever. I'm not even going to eat a sandwich if there's no mayonnaise. Cobble's texting me disgusting. I don't care what you say, Cobble. Mayonnaise, the best condiment.
But it's the easiest question because obviously if it's hot dogs and hamburgers, you go ketchup.
No, you don't.
Yes, you go ketchup.
Mayonnaise is better than ketchup.
I don't fully disagree with you on that point. I think mayonnaise is good for hamburgers and sandwiches, but for a hot dog, you've got to have ketchup or mustard.
Go with the mayo right there on top. Love to see it.
No shot.
Next.
All right, what if there was crying in baseball? Do you cry when Eric Walker looks into the dugout in 2017? Any other times?
No, that wouldn't have been a cry situation because LSU was in the game there. Like, that was a bad blow, no doubt about it. But you were right in the game. He had given up, I think, a run or 2 in that first inning. And, you were in it, and you had a really good team that year. So that wouldn't have been cry-inducing. Losing may have done that. And there is absolutely crying in baseball, because I absolutely cried in 2003 when the Cubs lost Game 7 to the Marlins. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I definitely cried after my last high school baseball game. So there is crying in baseball, despite what Tom Hanks and League of Their Own would have you say. There's plenty of crying in baseball.
All right, next one here. What if Brian Kelly was Nick Saban's replacement instead of Les Miles in 2005?
We tended to poo-poo Les Miles' era here. And you realize, like, when the bottom fell out of the football program a couple years ago, that's not great. Things have gotten bumpy this year in baseball. Like, Les kept you right there, and then he popped a couple of incredible seasons. I think Brian Kelly equals that, if not maybe exceeds it a little bit more.
So just timeline-wise, Brian Kelly was in his second year at Central Michigan in 2005. So not exactly the best resume to that point.
No, but this place, if you get it right, then you're going to win a lot of games. And
Yes.
Brian Kelly has gotten it right everywhere he's ever been. You don't have to be from South Louisiana. You don't have to have coached in the SEC. You just have to get it right. And if you do that, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think it's fairly proven at this point that Brian Kelly gets it right everywhere he goes. So I think he would have won a national championship. He would have put together great teams, and then he would have had trouble beating Nick Saban. I mean, that's basically what happened to Les too. That's what it was. What life was in the SEC West back in around 2010.
All righty, last one here. What if Dustin Johnson actually cared about his craft?
So I think that's a misconception.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want Dustin Johnson to take my ACT for me, and I don't want him to run a Fortune 500 company.
No.
I think he has worked. He doesn't work really hard anymore.
No.
Once he signed with Lib, he quit. But when he was at the peak of his powers, between ages 24 and 32, he worked really hard at golf, and I think has a real understanding of how to play and was the supreme talent. And he probably should have won more than just the two majors. And he got a little lucky, I think, with the Augusta one because they played it in November, and it was a weird deal, and he set the scoring record, and the course just didn't play the same. But, he got a terrible break there at Whistling Straits, where he was in a bunker, not in a bunker, whatever. And he obviously at Chambers Bay missed a chippy to get into the playoff with Jordan Spieth. And he should have probably closed out a few more, but I don't think it was due to lack of effort. And he was a grinder. He worked at it really hard. I think he's mistaken for that because when you ask him questions in a press conference, he just never provides a thoughtful answer ever.
No. He's not the brightest. But,
he's not. I mean, when I played at Cypress Point, and my caddy there had caddied for Dustin Johnson at one point. He was like, yeah, nicest guy you could ever meet, but there's just not a lot going on up there.
No.
He wants to get out on the boat. He wants to hang out with Paulina, and he play a little golf, and now he's just got a bunch of money, and he'll spend a lot more time on his boat with Paulina.
I do wonder, though, if there's plenty of what ifs in golf in terms of guys that you could have foreseen winning way more than they actually did. I think Dustin Johnson chances of winning a major at this point in the rest of his career probably not much at all.
No, not. I mean, there's just I don't know this because I'm not there. I just don't think he's working at it anymore. He cashed in. I mean, they probably paid him $200. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's not like Paulina's family's hurting for cash.
No, they're probably fine.
I think it's all good in the Johnson Gretzky household. So that's it for What If Wednesday here on this Wednesday. When we come back, we'll give you my thoughts on the PGA Championship tomorrow, plus some bets. We won for the Masters. We'll talk Saints schedule coming up in 15 minutes on The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of bets, every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to a championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the playoffs. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings Baseball.
Matt Moscona inviting to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. It's NFL schedule release day, what we know, what to look forward to, and we'll start previewing LSU, Ole Miss, and baseball. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, it's the eve of a professional golf major. As is tradition, I will run down 5 $20 bets that I like from ESPN Bet app, and we'll grade those, see how we did financially on Monday. The only one I hit on last time was Scotty Scheffler to win by 3 or more at the Masters, but that paid for a buy-in, so we came out on the plus end of things there. I'll give you my 5 for this weekend at Valhalla up in Louisville, Kentucky. The first one, this is going to be, first of all, before I get into this golf course is Big Boy Yard. It's big, it's long, it's got pretty narrow fairways, thick rough. It's going to be one of the guys who hits it a long way that wins. That's what the PGA Championship is kind of morphed into, and you've seen, you know, guys, Brooks Koepka's had a lot of success in these in this tournament. Justin Thomas won it a couple years ago. These are guys that hit a good bit and that are good iron players from 200 yards and that can make some putts. It's not necessarily like Augusta. It's not like the Open Championship. This is more like the U.S. Open than any other majors. And they've kind of created that as the identity of this golf tournament. So that's with that in mind, I'm going with a lot of those guys here in these bets. I've got a winner at plus 4,500. That's Cam Young. He's played some really good major championship golf in both PGA Championships and in the Open Championship. He's $20, wins 900 on Cam Young, hits it a mile, has really good hands. Got to make putts, but I like Cam Young, and I think that's a good longish shot to win the golf tournament. I'm going to go back to the well like we did at Augusta and go Scheffler by 3 or more. He's clearly the best player in the world. Obviously had a kid, so he stepped away and didn't play Wells Fargo last week, but he did win the Masters and then turned right back around at Harbortown and won 2 wildly different tests of golf, and he was the best player on both golf courses by a long shot. So I'm not going to place him to win because that's not going to pay me much anything, but I can get him to win it with 3 or more shots at plus 800. That is 20 to win 160. Here's a duo that doesn't like each other a ton, but that both fit the profile of this golf course. That is Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, both in the top 10 this week. That would pay plus 650, so 20 to win $150 there. Will Zalatoris has played great major championship golf around this injury that's given him a little bit of trouble, but he's a phenomenal long iron player. He's not a great putter, and that gives me some concern, but he's changed things around a little bit with his putting, with his equipment on the putting side of things, and it should be a little bit better. So he's I've got him to top 10 at plus 550. 20 would pay $130. And then the guy who hits it as far as anybody out there and is driving it great and played brilliant golf and has been really, really good on this golf course where he won a PGA and on a wet golf course, which this is likely to be. I've got Rory McIlroy, not just to win, to go wire to wire, including ties. So always got to be is tied or better at the end of every round. That's plus 5,000. That's $20 to win 1,000. So, Jacob Beck, you have looked over these bets. You've seen what I've looked at. How do we feel about these 5 wagers that I'm playing?
I think that you will get one winner, and I think it will be Brooks and Bryson, both to top 10. Bryson played really well at the Masters. He's playing pretty solid. Brooks obviously won the PGA last year, and he's playing pretty well. Didn't play great at the Masters, but it's a totally different course. This course suits him way better. So I would, and Bryson, they both hit it really far, and they're both good iron players. So Brooks and Bryson top 10 is pretty good. I think you'll get at least one of those. I think that's the one you'll win probably.
Which one of these 5 bets do you hate?
I hate Cam Young winner just because picking a winner in golf is the odds for me. The odds need to be way better than plus 4,500. Like those odds are not amazing. So
$20 to win 900?
No, it's really good, but I like if you're gonna go for a winner, somebody like plus 8,000 or something. Because if you're gonna go for a winner, you either go for a guy that you really think has a good chance, like Scheffler or Rory, which I don't mind those at all. And the Scheffler by plus 3 is good because it was like the one to the Masters that was a great one. So if Scheffler does win, you expect he might win by 2 or 3. So I like those, but picking a winner, a guy like in the middle, those middle odds, I don't love that one very much.
What about Rory wire to wire? Coming up, filed for divorce
yesterday,
out there,
he's
hammering away.
Right. No, I the only thing about Rory is sometimes he starts a little slow in majors, and I mean that's mainly for the Masters, but he usually turns it on in the last few rounds, especially if he's down like 3 or 4 strokes. It seems like he's just able to play a little bit more openly and freer, and can score really well on the back Saturday and Sunday half rounds. So wire to wire is tough. I think you had Rory wire to wire for the Masters as well.
I did.
I don't remember what the odds were for that, but the odds aren't bad for that. However, I just feel Rory usually can start a little slow in majors, so I don't love that one. But
I went out to the Zurich on that Saturday. I gave Rory a few tips
on
how to play.
What did you tell him?
I told him to hit it a mile down the middle of the fairway, and then just
he did that at Quill Hollow. So I think he heeded your advice there.
You know, me, Butch Harmon, Hank Haney, kind of the foremost minds in golf teaching. Sean Foley as well, but yeah, I'm right there in the mix there. So those are my 5 picks. Cam Young to win plus 4,500. Scotty Scheffler by 3 or more plus 800. Brooks and Bryson both in the top 10 plus 650. Will Zalatoris to top 10 plus 550, and Rory wire to wire winner, including ties. That is plus 5,000. I'm excited to watch this. I think my pick to win the golf tournament, Scotty Scheffler. That's how you got on a limb. That's how you make bold predictions.
You're not worried about the kid and then coming off. You know, he hasn't
I've had
played.
a kid. I'm no worse at golf than I was than when Myers was born.
Yeah.
So look, the proof's in the pudding.
Okay.
I think he'll be just fine. I would if he were able to win. I mean, he'd be the first guy to do that since Spieth to pick off the first 2, and then he went to St. Andrews and was right there on 18. Had to make a birdie to get in the playoff and was just short. So that would make things really interesting if we get close to thinking about a Grand Slam. And nobody's really played this well since Tiger did win 4 in a row. So I'm pulling for that. I'm pulling against all the guys who went to live, as you know, and we'll see what happens. We'll grade all these bets coming up on Monday's show. All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand. 1045 ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us, and certainly you can find us on YouTube as well. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. That helps us get our content in front of as many eyeballs and ears as we possibly can. I gave my thoughts on the NCAA tournament bubble as regards to baseball at the top of the show. LSU's resume is better than all of these teams, but I'm not going to go crying if they can't get it done and win 13 league games. Koki Riley talks some baseball with us at 1:15. LSU's weekend rotation is set, at least the first 2 games, where they'll go with Gage Jump and Luke Holman. We had What If Wednesday. We talked about Maryland Eastern Shore. They're 0-45 in baseball. That's noteworthy. In hour number 2, a lot of the Saints schedule starting to leak out before we find it in its finality. Tonight at 7 o'clock. SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming at you as well. We're going to step aside for Sports Center. Come back with us on the other side. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number 1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Only one option for the Cavaliers. Game 5, second-round NBA playoff series against the Celtics tonight. Win or the season's over. Injured Cavs guard Donovan Mitchell, center Jared Allen not expected to play, guard Karis LeVert uncertain with a bone bruise. Whenever Cleveland's season does end, the team has an interesting offseason ahead. Mitchell, year left on his contract, eligible for a big extension. If he doesn't sign it, Cavs could consider trading him so he doesn't walk away for nothing as a free agent in 2025. And multiple teams would line up for a Mitchell trade, explains ESPN's Brian Windhorst.
The Lakers know that they need to improve their roster. They're going to be hunting for a star. Miami Heat have been star hunting for a year now. They're always star hunting. They have some players on their roster potentially be interesting in Cleveland, not as deep in draft picks, though, as the other ones. And the third team I'll bring up, Brooklyn. Good young players. Answer the Eastern Conference, and Donovan Mitchell is from the New York area.
Mavs Thunder tied up 2-2, Game 5 tonight, 9 Eastern, ESPN Radio. NFL Giants will be featured on the first ever off-season edition of HBO's Hard Knocks this July.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, we'll react to the NFL schedule release, and I'll tell you the early season games I'm most excited about. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2 Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half that work week is in the rearview mirror. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. It is NFL schedule release day, and I'll be quite honest with you. That is not generally run like Selection Sunday in the NCAA tournament. Not usually run like Selection Monday for baseball's tournament. There's generally some leaks that go on when we're talking about the NFL schedule. And while there is set to be a big schedule reveal this evening, multiple outlets are reporting they've got the whole thing. So I'm going to go with this. If they announce this thing on television tonight and it's completely wrong, I will own that as following the wrong leaders here. But this is not just one place that just blurted it out there as like a guest. It's now kind of pervased the internet, and people kind of understand what the Saints schedule looks like. So we're going to run through it, and I'll give my reaction to things real time because it is 2:03 right now. I started reading this at 1:58. So I've had 5 minutes to digest the entirety of the Saints schedule. So let's go through it pretty quickly. I know it's tough to listen and kind of follow along without it in front of you, but here's what we'll look at. Week 1, the Saints will open up with the Panthers in New Orleans. I can't think of an easier opening for the Saints than that. Maybe the Panthers are significantly better. Maybe Bryce Young is significantly better, but there was not a worse team in the NFL last year. They've still got the same quarterback. The owner's still a disaster, and they're coming to your building. I can't think of a nicer open for the Saints. The next few are a little bumpy. At the Cowboys in Week 2. Home for the Eagles in Week 3, at the Falcons in Week 4, and then Monday Night Football in Arrowhead at Kansas City in Week 5. That's a run of at Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts at home, at Kirk Cousins, at Patrick Mahomes as far as quarterback goes. That is a bumpy go there early for New Orleans. After Monday Night Football, you come home and take on Tampa Bay. Then you've got a quick turnaround, still at home. Sean Payton's return to New Orleans with the Denver Broncos, a 7:15 Thursday Night Football kick in the Superdome. So the good news is that's the only Thursday night game that the Saints will play, and it's at home. So you don't have one of those crammed in weeks where you have to pack a travel day in there. They'll do it at home. In week 8, you're getting close to Halloween here. They're at the Chargers. Week 9, at the Panthers. Then you're home for the Falcons, home for the Browns. That, to me, looks like the most gettable portion of the schedule. Jim Harbaugh, new coach there at the Chargers. Of course, Justin Herbert is good. That's not a layup. But then at Panthers, home Falcons, home Browns. That's a pretty gettable part of their schedule. And then you've got the bye week on Thanksgiving week, which is week 12. You got to play 11 games out of the chute before you get to your bye. That is a little bit problematic. You come back after the bye, home game with the Rams. You're at the Giants in week 14. In week 15, you're home for Washington and Jaden Daniels. For those LSU fans interested in that, that is December the 15th at home, noon game on Fox. Jaden Daniels in the Dome. Here's a cold one. We always look for that. Real cold. At the Packers, Monday Night Football, December 23rd, right before Christmas Eve, in Lambeau Field in week 16. That's going to be a chilly one for the black and gold. Then you come home December 29th for the Raiders, and you finish the season in January at Tampa. So the only cold weather, well, 2 cold weather games, at Giants in December and at Packers in December. So 2 cold weather games. Your bye week is week number 12, and you finish off at the Bucs. Okay, so as I digest this, I think it's important that the Saints tread water early if we're talking about trying to win the NFC South. Because after the Panthers, that stretch right there at Cowboys, home Eagles, at Falcons, at Chiefs is going to be difficult. And if you can find a way to start 2-3, I think you're okay. You don't really want to be 1-4 and heaven forbid 1-5, 0-5. And then you got the Bucs at home and the Broncos at home, who I think you should be able to play with, right? I mean, the Broncos don't have a quarterback. The Bucs, I don't trust what Baker did. So that stretch between October 13th and the bye week is where you need to catch up. It's Bucs home, Broncos at home, at the Chargers, at the Panthers, home Falcons, home Browns. If you can get to the bye week after 11 weeks at 6-5, then I think you're in good position. Off the bye, you're home against the Rams, who have been rebuilding since that Super Bowl win. Obviously, no more Aaron Donald. You're at the Giants. I don't think anybody thinks they're going to be great. They've got Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones, if he's still the quarterback then. At the Giants, home for Washington, rookie quarterback. You catch the rookie quarterback late, which is not exactly how you want to do it, but it is a rookie quarterback for Washington. Then at Packers, tough. Home Raiders, certainly doable. And at Tampa, and you hope to be playing for something significant at that point. It's not as beneficial a schedule for New Orleans as it was last year. Now, the metrics will say it's the second easiest, but when you look at the quarterbacks that New Orleans played last year, even what they were set to play before the injuries happened, it looked really manageable. As I scroll through now and I see Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes, I see Justin Herbert, I see Matt Stafford, I see Jordan Love. I think there is a little bit more to hurdle there. You do miss Burrow. You do miss Allen. You miss some of those really good players in the AFC, certainly, and that's a help. And I don't think it's a murderous schedule by any stretch. I do think it's a tough start for the Saints. They've got to hit their stride at the beginning, in the middle, and then after the bye week, you got to close somewhat strong. So I don't think that the Saints are as necessarily dependent on some warm weather as they were early in the Breeze era, where it was just high flying and you had to get things done. I think they've been a little bit better as of late. They've got to run the ball better if they're going to play better in cold weather. I think they'll be fine in New York in early December. That Packers game, I would suggest there's going to be some cold weather. It's at night in December in Green Bay, and it will be cold. The bigger issue is that Green Bay is pretty good. So that, to me, is more important there than the cold weather. I don't think the Saints are quite the identity that they were once upon a time back early in the Breeze era. So I think 3 primetime games: at Chiefs on Monday Night Football, Broncos at home Thursday Night Football, at Packers on Monday Night Football. As far as the home games, you're at noon every single non-Broncos home game that I can see here, except for the Rams game that is in the first week of December. That's a 3:05 game, and then we'll see what they decide to do later in the season with flexes and whatnot if things get interesting. So you knew they were going to play. You knew that Sean Payton's homecoming was coming. You knew that they were headed to play the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You also knew that Jaden Daniels was coming to the Dome. Now we know when all of those things are. I see the benefits here, and I see a few drawbacks. I think the start's a drawback. The biggest benefit to me is that you have a home game on your Thursday game. Drawback would be the bye being a little bit later than you would like. And maybe a Packers game being cold later down the road, but I think it's a pretty standard and fair schedule for New Orleans. I feel a little bit more concerned about the actual roster, specifically the offensive line, than I do the schedule. That's where my concern lies, is the offensive line, the roster as a whole, and the coaching to an extent. The schedule, I think, is just fine. So I'm a little bit perplexed at how all of this information gets to the internet before the schedule is announced, quite frankly. I don't know what the purpose of that is. Surely there are some people that have that information that aren't supposed to be leaking it out that are. I don't know what the purpose would be there. You got any thoughts on that, Beck, on the fact that we're sitting here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we have the whole schedule and they're supposed to do an hour-long TV show to release the schedule later on today?
Yeah, usually the NFL are pretty good about keeping things within rank, but apparently that's not the case with the schedule. And I just saw this tweet from Jeff Duncan. He made a little graphic in terms of since 2018, how many games of primetime, Fox 3 p.m. and noon the Saints have played. The Saints have played double-digit noon games including 2024, the last 3 years. Before that, they hadn't played more than 10 in I don't know how long, but they also have only had 3 primetime games the last 3 years as well. Before that, they had at least 4 or 5. So, and I'm kind of shocked that Packers game is Monday Night Football. I guess maybe there just wasn't really any other better options. But yeah, it just kind of goes to show the way that the NFL and the scheduling team felt about the Saints and what they think they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are a pretty national draw, and that's a primetime team. I don't know where the Saints marriage comes in here. The Sean Payton one's very, very obvious, but it is what it is. Honestly, I don't have strong feelings about this. I have strong feelings about the direction of the franchise. So that's where I am on New Orleans and their schedule. You want to check it out, you can do it just about wherever the internet is, or you can wait for tonight when they have a television show to let you know what the Saints schedule looks like. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can find it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. Always invite y'all to subscribe up to that channel. LSU looking in the transfer portal for a commitment today. Are they going to get it? We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. I mean, the football schedule, we just laid it out for you. You know what the Saints schedule looks like. You know what LSU's schedule looks like. If you want your home to be the place to watch the games all football season long, right now is the time to make that call to Audio Video Security Solutions. They can mount your television, even supply the television for you. And they can set you up with incredible surround sound. If you want to have game watch parties and you don't want different sounds at different rooms because that TV is ahead of that one and the one on the patio. No, you can sync them all up and have them all wired to produce the same sound as you walk in through the house and people gravitate towards different rooms while you're watching the game. It's an incredible thing you can do at your home with your surround sound and your video. And Audio Video Security Solutions can help you every step of the way with it. Mitchell Fisher runs the company over there. He's the president. This is his cell phone number, 225-439-7920. Give him a call. He'll be right there to help you, and he'll walk you through every single bit of the process. Tell him the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online at avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a
Charles Hennigrove, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza. We'll get you ready for the final weekend of SEC baseball and keep you up to date on the PGA Championship. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live After 5 is back this spring. Clock out and rock out with us for the next few weeks on Friday through May 24th in downtown Baton Rouge for the free concert series from 5 to 8 p.m. Join us for another season filled with incredible music, delicious food, talented artists, and a lively second line parade. This Friday, come out to see the Bucktown All-Stars for Live After 5.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So LSU still looking into the transfer portal, trying to finalize that football roster for the fall of 2024. Now, everyone has to be in the transfer portal, and there's no rules when you can't decide where you are actually going. So there's no deadline that we're trying to meet here. You're just observing and seeing what can happen. And LSU's still got a couple of scholarships here and there to play with, and we know that they're looking first and foremost at defensive tackle. We have talked about this for 2 months. It appears that search may end today. JVR Suggs, Grand Valley State product, has announced today as his decision date. I have not seen a time for that. I saw his tweet on his profile that said, hey, I'm going to make my decision tomorrow. That was last night when he made that tweet. So we'll keep our eyes on it and see when that happens. LSU got a visit. I think certainly has made impression there. Whether or not a 265, 270, 280-pound defensive tackle from that level of football can come in and help LSU, I don't know. Remains to be seen. I'm not going to throw a party over it, but I also realize that having another guy is not going to hurt you. All it can do is help. So I hope that JVR Suggs does decide to play at LSU. He does have 2 years of eligibility remaining. I made the mistake on the On3 message board. I was kicking things back and forth, talking with some of the users over there. And I said it was his last year. Jay said, no, he has 2 left. And I'm going, how does this math work? This guy enrolled in 2019 and redshirted. Got it. Did not play in 2020, COVID. That doesn't count. Got it. So then we play 21, 22, 23, 24. That looks like 6 years, and that's it for me. Somehow there's an extra year in there. I don't know how it works. I'm basically waving the white flag on all of the eligibility issues until like 3 years from now when I know for sure that everybody has exhausted their COVID years. But it sounds like JVR Suggs has 2 years left. We'll see if LSU can land him today. There are some other names in the transfer portal that LSU is expecting a visit from this week, whether that's today, tomorrow, or sometime later in the week. And those two names are Wesley Walker and Tyler Barron, who have been at Louisville and decided to transfer out. We talked about Walker earlier this week. Wesley Walker played 2,000 snaps at safety between Tennessee and Georgia Tech. He would have been the highest graded per PFF safety returning in the SEC this year. So that's a guy I'm all in on landing. I said that earlier this week. I still remain that way. Your secondary play was so poor last year. So many busts, so many poor run fits, so many missed tackles, missed opportunities on interceptions. Like, you were just bad. And I think Corey Raymond and his crew can help with some of that. But I'm not opposed to adding different players too. I know the numbers in terms of depth are it's there. You got a ton. You got tons of corners and safeties. I'm okay adding more. Get me as many options as possible back there so I can figure out what group is not going to give up the massive amount of big plays we saw last year. And if Wesley Walker is one of those guys, I am absolutely all for it at this point. I'm not as familiar with his teammate Tyler Barron. Barron is 6'5", 260-pound edge rusher. Played well last year. Played in 12 regular season games for Tennessee. Played all the games but their opener. He finished second on the team in sacks with 6, third in tackles for loss with 10.5. Both of those were career highs for him. So, yeah, LSU's defensive front, again, has some numbers, but I'm okay with adding talent there because the group they put out there last year wasn't quite good enough, and 3 of those guys just left for the NFL draft. So I'm not, as far as defense goes, I am not preparing anyone that games and have had 6 sacks in the SEC and 10 TFLs. Bring them on. I'm more excited about that than Grand Valley State. The example I'm bringing up time and time again, yes, Jared Verse could play at this level. That was pretty obvious. But there are far more guys that aren't Jared Verse. And I hope that JVR Suggs is Jared Verse. I have my doubts. I hope that Sean Washington comes in from junior college and plays like Jared Verse. I have my doubts. Doesn't mean that they can't. I want to see it. When guys have actually done it and have played at Georgia Tech and have played at Tennessee and have gotten a spot at Louisville, okay, I'm fine. I'm trying to overhaul this defense to such an extent that I'm not willing to turn away almost anybody. And what I know is true is that these guys are better than not signing anyone at all. Like, that is obvious. I don't want to give spots away when you're trying to bring in other guys and then there's no room at the end. No. Obviously, we don't want to do that. There's room at the end. Plenty of room. So I'm all for attracting defensive talent in every which way you can. Whether that's in the secondary or up front. I don't know when the visits are supposed to come for Wesley Walker and for Tyler Barron, but we do know that JVR Suggs intends to make that announcement today. So we'll react to it if we learn anything over the next 35 minutes or so. More likely sometime this evening we'll hear about it, and then we'll tell you what we think on tomorrow's show. All right, moving right along here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you're looking for our LSU football content, you can always find it at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Cassie does an awesome job of cutting those segments up, putting up little 10-minute digestible bites that show up right there on your homepage if you subscribe to the channel. It's Hunt on LSU, all football, all year round on YouTube. All right, when we come back, it's our SEC Baseball Power Rankings. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. Got the biggest screens, best food and drink, plus giving away PIN cash bonuses and prizes to PIN Play Rewards members. What's better than that? Biggest screens, best food and drink, cash bonuses. That's all good. If you're not a member, join today by downloading and registering for the PIN Play app from the App Store. Unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in PIN cash. All this and more make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
Matt Moscona inviting to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. It's NFL schedule release day, what we know, what to look forward to, and we'll start previewing LSU Ole Miss in baseball. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. LSU and Ole Miss coming at you tomorrow. We'll start previewing that series on tomorrow's show. Hope to go up to Oxford, grab a guest to talk about the Rebels, and it's a big win for both. I think if LSU sweeps, they're 100% in the field. I think if Ole Miss gets 2 out of 3, they're 100% in the field. I think any team that gets 12 wins is in trouble, although the case can be made that they're not if they go on a run in Hoover. I'm just going to have to see that to believe it. I kind of laid out my entire case on all of that at the top of the show today. If you want to catch that, you can go back and check it out on demand wherever you find your audio. As for now, we're going to go through all 14 teams in the SEC with our SEC Baseball Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. When you want the definitive, unquestioned pecking order of the SEC, who do you call? Hunt Palmer. Take it away, Hunt.
At the top of the league, I still got the Tennessee Volunteers. They're not there in terms of the standings, but they are in terms of Hunt's power rankings. They're 43-10 on the season, 19-8 in league play. They will be in Knoxville until they get to Omaha, if that is the case. They have got 5 guys in that lineup with at least 15 home runs and hitting .337 or better. Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Billy Amick, Kavaris Tears, and Dylan Dreiling, all hitting .337 plus with 15 homers. It is a frightening lineup that's gotten enough pitching at this point.
I wonder how many of those home runs are at home.
Probably a lot, but that's where they're going to be until they get to Omaha. So
that's true.
It's a thing. Arkansas comes in at number 2. They don't hit
the
a bunch
Arkansas
of home runs
Razorbacks
like that. They're 42-10 overall, 19-8 in league play. Hagen Smith, in his starts, Arkansas is 9-0 against the league. In games where he doesn't start, they're 10-8, but he still starts every week. And I think he's going to start the Marble game in their regional in Fayetteville, and I think he's going to start game 1 of a super in Fayetteville, and that just gives them a massive advantage. I don't like Arkansas to win the national championship because I don't love their bats, and the 2 guys after Hagen Smith and Brady Tiger and Mason Molina have not been exactly lights out. Bullpen's fantastic. Peyton Stovall offensively has been great. They've got a lot of pieces, and there's a reason they're 19-8, but Hagen Smith's the biggest piece, and that's a big deal. That's why I've got them at number 2. Number 3.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
A lot of people would suggest they should be number 1. They lead the league with 20 wins already. They'll be in Lexington until they get to Omaha if that's the case. For me, I don't love the staff. They do hit a ton, which I do like a lot. They're still 6-6 in their last 12 SEC games. They just dominated the bottom of the league for the first half, and then they've coasted to the finish line. That's going to be plenty enough to get a national seed and probably the number 1 overall seed. But I just don't love them as much as I love Tennessee. And then what Hagen Smith is to that Arkansas team. So I've got Kentucky at number 3. They may prove me wrong, but that's where I've got them as of today.
Texas A&M!
Aggies leaking a little bit of oil, just a little bit. And they got Hagen Smith tomorrow, which is not great for them. But they're still good. They're still good. I think that offense is terrifying. I think that it's likely they're going to get a top 8 national seed. They probably need to win 1 game against Arkansas to make sure of that. But you wouldn't want to lose your last 3 series and finish with 17 wins. But if they get to 18 wins with 1 win over Arkansas this weekend, I think they'll be just fine. I'm pulling against them hard, but I've got them at number 4, and I think they're going to be a top 8 national seed. A&M coming at number 4. Number 5.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs coming in at number 5. Good news for them last night. Nate Doan returned to action. Remember, he started the first game of their series against LSU. He was scratched. He did not start that game. They had to start a bullpen guy, and they still beat LSU. But Doan was their Friday night starter for the beginning of the season in the non-conference. He came back last night and gave them 2 innings in the midweek, and they were perfect. So that's a good little bolst to their pitching staff, and we know that they've got some guys that can really, really hit. Drangelo Sanger, I've been looking at mock drafts, the Major League Draft. I've seen him in 2 different first rounds. I read Keith Laws today on The Athletic. They had Drangelo Sanger in the first round of this year's draft. Pretty salty guy to have in the middle or back into your rotation. Mississippi State's not the best team in the league, but they're very, very good. I think they're going to be a host site in Starkville, and they got a team that could get to Omaha.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia comes in at 6. This offense is a house on fire. They have scored 10 or more runs in 6 straight SEC games against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. In that stretch of 6 games, they are averaging 12.3 runs per game. It's not just Charlie Condon. That whole group is hitting like crazy. Condon's a freak, and he's probably going to be the first pick in the draft, but that offense is sensational, and their pitching staff is not that good, but it doesn't matter if you score 12 runs a game. And Vandy can pitch, and they did that to them. They're 16-11 in the league. They are going to get a host site, and they could play their way to a top 8 if they can do things against Florida this weekend and maybe get 2 or 3 games in addition to the 16 they've already got. Georgia's is scary offensively.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina comes in at number 7. They're 13-14 in league play. Look, the only team they've beaten 2 out of 3 in the last month is Georgia. They have lost the 3 other series. It's not been awesome, but they've just been pretty good. They're not getting swept routinely. They're not sweeping routinely. They don't jump off the page offensively, except for the fact they walk a lot. Their pitching staff's okay. It's just they've been sitting there at number 7 for like a month now because they're just about as average as they come in the SEC. I'd love it if they stuck at 13 wins and got swept this weekend, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to get into the NCAA tournament once they get that 14th win.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
The Doors, 34-18 overall, 12-15 in league play. They got a 3-hit shutout from their staff on Sunday to get one from Tennessee. They had to do that. Now they cannot get swept at Kentucky this weekend. They've been swept 3 times this year. A&M got them, Georgia got them, and South Carolina got them. You get swept again, you're on the outside looking into the NCAA tournament race. If you're LSU, you really want Kentucky to sweep Vanderbilt. I don't think that's going to happen. You got Carter Holton, you got Bryce Cunningham. I don't think they're going to get swept. But you never know because they hadn't been playing great baseball to this point, but I've got them at number 8. Number 9.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide beat LSU 2 out of 3 last weekend. If they get that Ben Hess, they're really good. But that Ben Hess never shows up. Just happened to when LSU came to town. Bama is 1 win away from clinching its spot in the NCAA tournament. And they play Auburn this week, who's the worst team in the league. There's a thought, because their RPI is so good, that Alabama could sweep Auburn, get to 15-15, and in Hoover play their way to a host site. Florida did that at 15-15 a few years ago. We'll see, but right now, just need 1 win to get in the NCAA tournament. I think they're a reasonable baseball team.
LSU Tigers.
LSU is number 10. They've kind of been between 9 and 11 for a while now. They are what they are. They're pretty good when Luke Holman and Gage Jumper out there. They're really good when Griffin Herring's out there. Christian Little, okay. Tommy White and Jared Jones, fantastic. Everybody else, okay. They're just a bottom third of the league team right now. They're probably the top of that class, but not much more than that. I've got LSU at number 10.
The Florida Gators.
Dump Florida back behind LSU. Other than Caglione, the pitching has not been good. And offensively, they haven't been really good. They're 10th in the league in batting average, 11th in on-base percentage, 10th in doubles. They hit home runs. They're 4th there, but they're dead last in ERA. So it's just an odd deal where LSU and Florida, who are 2 of the biggest brands in the sport, the defending top 2 teams in the country, just haven't really had it, and it's too late to kind of find it at this point.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
I've got Ole Miss coming in at 12. They are playing better. They got a series from Mississippi State. They got a series from Texas A&M. They still don't have the high-end talent. And that's what I think makes them not one of the top 10 teams in the league. They don't have a true ace. Liam Doyle's been good, but they don't have one of the guys that Ole Miss has had more often than not at the front of the rotation. They don't have a Jacob Gonzalez or a Tim Elko offensively. They're terrible on defense at this point. So I just don't think it's a great team. Am I sitting here ready to pick them to get swept against LSU at home? No, I'm not. Do I think LSU's a little better than Ole Miss? I do, because I think Jump, Herring, and Holman with White and Jones just a little bit better than the totality of things for Ole Miss.
The Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou comes in at number 13. They've been scrappy, but they're not going to get to Hoover unless they sweep this weekend and LSU is swept by Ole Miss. If that happens, they can get to Hoover. I just don't know that I believe that's going to happen. So it'll be Missouri and Auburn who don't make the SEC tournament. Not a terrible year for Missouri. There were some that thought when they got off to a start where they were losing games to Cal Poly and teams that they had no business losing games to, that this was going to be a team that won 3 or 4 SEC games. They've already got 8, so they've already outperformed that, but they're still not going to get to Hoover.
The Auburn Tigers.
They're not going to get to Hoover either. We'll see if they can spoil Alabama's fun in the final weekend of the regular season. Auburn just 6-21 in league play, 25-25 overall. Butch Thompson's teams always get better at the end of the season. This one just never did. They just never took off. They were just bad from start to finish in league play, and they'll probably finish with a dud against Alabama coming up this weekend. Those are your SEC power rankings. I'll start them from the top one more time. Tennessee, number 1. Arkansas, number 2. Kentucky at number 3. A&M at number 4. I think those are all top 8 national seeds. Mississippi State, I think, is a host. They come in at number 5. Georgia, I think, is going to be a host. They come in at number 6. South Carolina at 7. Vanderbilt at 8. We turn for home on the bottom half of the SEC. Alabama at 9. LSU at 10. Florida at 11. Ole Miss comes in at 12. Missouri at 13. And Auburn bringing up the rear. Those are the official SEC power rankings as proclaimed by me, Mr. Hunt Palmer. Our baseball breakdowns all season long, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. We'll play Take It or Leave It when we get back and get on down the road. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
We all had issues over the past week with power because those storms come in and they can get really, really nasty. And then I was driving into work this morning. I was at a stoplight and I pulled up Twitter and saw the National Hurricane Center sent out its first tweet of the year. It's not hurricane season yet, but we're close. Hurricane season is not the time to think about a generator. It's now. And Boudreaux's Electric can help you with that Generac generator at your home or your business. If you work from home and can't have these storms blowing through, knocking out the power and decreasing your productivity, how about a Generac generator from Boudreaux's Electric? You're going to get a 7 to 10-year warranty depending on what type of generator you get. You're going to have it professionally installed by a pro from Boudreaux's Electric. And you're going to get a 7 to 10-year warranty, as I mentioned. You just can't go wrong with the folks at Boudreaux's Electric, and you're going to get the peace of mind of knowing you don't have to deal with power outages, whether you're there while the storm's coming through or you evacuate for a hurricane and you want to come back to a house that's cool with a refrigerator running that you can function in, as opposed to a 98-degree house. You got to clean out that disgusting fridge. Boudreaux's Electric, a certified Generac dealer, a premier Generac dealer. Give them a call at the Napoleonville location. That number is 985-397-1562. Opening in Gonzales very, very soon, but right now, 985-397-1562. That is Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Charles Hennigrove, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Perloche Jabbar and Town Square Pizza. We'll get you ready for the final weekend of SEC baseball and keep you up to date on the PGA Championship. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, down the stretch we come here. Hunt Palmer Show on a Wednesday. pitching matchups have been announced for LSU and Ole Miss. Going to start things off tomorrow. LSU, as expected, going to give the ball to Gage Jump, the left-hander. Riley Maddox will go for Ole Miss. I'll tell you more about Maddox tomorrow, but he's a sinker baller who's had a pretty good year. His numbers are not good because Ole Miss can't catch the baseball. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's a sinker baller. Unfortunately, when he gets those ground balls, Ole Miss kicks them all over the yard, and that's why his numbers aren't very good. Luke Tolman is going to go in Game 2 against Liam Doyle. That's Ole Miss's best shot. That's their best arm. So we'll see how that looks with Luke Holman on the mound against a guy that has 77 strikeouts in just under 50 innings. And then Mason Nichols, junior right-hander, is going to go for Ole Miss in that Game 3 spot. LSU is going to go TBA there. Nichols has been a bullpen guy for a lot of his Ole Miss career. They kind of transitioned him into the starting rotation. He's been okay, 4-1 with a 3.5 ERA. So I'll give you the full scouting report on certainly Riley Maddox tomorrow, and then we'll get into a little bit more on Friday's show about Doyle, Nichols, and what's left. I gave my thoughts on LSU and their NCAA tournament hopes at the top of the show based on what the bubble looks like right now. I think the teams on the bubble are terrible. I think their resumes are awful, and I think LSU stacks up very nicely against almost all of them. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give you an attaboy and prop you up if you go 12-18 in the league at LSU. It's just not the way things work. So Tigers have their work cut out for them. It'll start tomorrow. Gage Jump takes the ball against Riley Maddox. One more order of business. Let's take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. The Nets are retiring Vince Carter's jersey. He played 4.5 seasons with the franchise, of course, after leaving the Raptors, made 2 All-Star games, and never made the conference finals. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave it. I mean, I realize Vince Carter's going to the Hall of Fame, and I realize that he did play well for the Nets franchise, but, like, let's have a little bit prouder bar for our jersey retirements. The guy played like 23% of his NBA games for the Nets, and they never had any success, and he was an all-star half the time he was there. Like, that just doesn't work. You want to retire your all-time leading scorers number that doesn't have a championship? Okay. You want to hire a guy that was instrumental in getting your first championship? Okay. Does anybody truly associate Vince Carter just with the Nets? I mean, he played with like 11 teams. I just think this is a very low bar for a jersey.
Well, I associate him with the Nets because whenever I was a kid, my parents got me a Vince Carter jersey for when he played for the Nets, so that's who I associate him with. However, yeah, I agree with you. He definitely he didn't play there very long, and he had his probably best years with the Raptors. So it's a bit weird that a team. I guess the Nets don't have a lot of history, but at the same time, you kind of want to set a higher standard for what jerseys you're going to retire.
You want to talk about poor jersey decisions from parents? This would be a startling admission. So now I was very young, probably. Well, I guess I can look this up when this would have been. Let me look this up as I tell the story, so I'll get the year right. I'm hoping that I was really, really young. So I saw a player on TV that had my last name, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, I gotta have that guy's jersey. He's a Palmer," and he was. Oh, yeah, I was very young. Good. That makes me feel a lot better. And my parents actually got me the jersey. It was David Palmer from the University of Alabama.
Wow.
And my dad purchased an Alabama jersey. Now, he went in the 94 draft, so that would have been probably 1993 when I was 5. So I think I'm off the hook when it comes to anything. LSU was atrocious in 1993, I'm sure. So I got a David Palmer jersey when I was young. I had an Alabama football jersey when I was young. I no longer have that jersey and will not have one moving forward. Myers will not be getting an Alabama football jersey no matter how much he cries about it, because that's poor parenting to offer that. So we won't be doing that.
All right, next one here. Quarterback General Booty, as we mentioned, was in the transfer portal. Guess where he's going? He's headed up to North Louisiana, going to ULM. The Warhawks. Booty will lead them to their first winning season since 2012. Take it or leave it.
The General's going to lead them? I mean, you got to think into the Warhawks? I mean,
yeah.
I think that's perfect. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, probably not.
But yeah, it all makes sense in terms of verbiage, and there are great plays on words you can use with the General and the Warhawks and all that. But in the end, the team's probably going to be Booty.
Yeah. I wish I could.
Just incredible work there. Unbelievable professional with a microphone.
Yeah. All right, next one here. The Celtics will close out Cleveland in Game 5 tonight. Donovan Mitchell will not go. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, the Celtics are a lot better than Cleveland, especially without Mitchell. So it's the Celtics are the class of the East. That'll be interesting when they get to the finals. I think clearly the most interesting thing right now is Knicks and Pacers and just like the energy in the Garden. I will absolutely fall into the cliche of like the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I would just rather see the Garden on fire than Minnesota or San Antonio or Utah. It's just better. There's a lot of celebrities there, and there are a lot of people there, and they're starved for good basketball, and that's the most entertaining series for me right now. I know everybody's eating up with Minnesota, and that's great too, but I like watching the Knicks right now.
Angel Reese will make her professional debut tonight. Double-double for the Bayou Barbie. Take it or leave it.
You know, I don't even know what her role on the team is. Like, I have no idea. I know she plays for Chicago because that's where my baseball team plays. But I don't know if, like, I know Cardozo got drafted there too. Are they the starters? I have no idea. If she starts, I think she'll get a double-double.
Yeah.
But my guess is she probably doesn't, and my guess is she probably won't. But I'll be pulling for her.
Yeah, I did see that yesterday. I think the biggest bet or the most betted item of sports yesterday was Caitlin Clark's over/under 20 points.
Didn't she hit it right on the number?
No, so I think it was 20.5 or 21 maybe, and she scored 20. So I think a lot of people lost some money yesterday.
I think the sharp money was fading Caitlin Clark.
Probably
because
so.
you know those lines are going to be inflated because everybody wants to see her score. I know that Twitter was frustrated because she got 2 quick fouls and went to the bench. But she did end up pouring in her 20 points, and I think she's going to be just fine. I know that Diane Taurasi that said she's in for it. We got some grown women up here, and I think she's going to be just fine. I think by the end of it, she'll be lighting it up.
All right, last one here. Netflix has won the rights to the NFL's Christmas Day games. To watch all of the NFL, you'll need to watch every game, you'll need Amazon Prime for Thursdays and a wild card game and Black Friday, Peacock for Eagles Packers on opening night, and then on opening Friday, and Netflix for Christmas. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. Like, that's just a lot. And I think there are enough diehards that it'll be just fine. But, like, I'm on the fringe. Like, if you've got the Saints on, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to watch Eagles-Packers on Peacock if I don't have it. Now, I have Peacock because I watched some golf on it, and I didn't have NBC in my previous cable package because they were in a dispute with the cable provider or whatever, and I have Peacock. But, like, and I don't have Netflix, so I'm not going to watch the Christmas games. Like, I don't have a Netflix account. I think at times my wife has used her mother-in-laws, I think. Their stepmothers. Her mother-in-law would be my mom. Her stepmothers. But, like, I'm not going to watch the Christmas football because I don't have Netflix. Yeah, I'm not going to go chase it down. Are you going to go chase it down?
Well, I do have Netflix, but they are cracking down in terms of sharing accounts and such. So that'll make it a lot harder in terms of if you want to like borrow someone's account to try to watch it. But we do have Netflix, but yeah, it's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, it's funny because I think whenever the streaming services were first starting out, a lot of the older generation were saying, "Oh, well, I'm just going to have cable. I'm not going to try to get all these different streaming services." Well, now at this point, you have so many different streaming services you have to have if you want to watch certain things. It's like you're just paying for what cable is almost at this point in terms of the total cost for every single streaming service. It's just ridiculous.
Are we ever going to get to a point, I don't profess to be an expert on this, and I doubt you're an expert on this type of thing, but are we ever going to get to the point where Amazon just buys the whole damn thing?
I don't know that would be possible in terms of monopolizing and all the different regulations with all that stuff.
I need one place to go.
It would be nice.
One place to go. You turn the TV on and then hit up and down on the channel thing and it shows up.
Again, it's just so funny though. It's like we went from having cable and satellite, which was one thing, and then we had like a few other different options and cable, but now it's like, oh, we just want to have one thing. Oh wait, that was what cable was. But now they're trying so it's just a whole mess, man.
It's very difficult. Whatever. I'm not watching Netflix football games. I'll watch Amazon Prime and I'll watch Peacock and then I'll watch the Saints on Fox. But I'm not getting Netflix to watch Christmas football. That's just my story. I'll stick to it. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Wrapping things up here. Excited for tomorrow's show. We will talk to Joe Healy tomorrow about what he thinks about the Ole Miss Rebels and where LSU sits on the NCAA bubble. We'll talk to Chris Blair tomorrow, of course, the voice of the Tigers, about LSU football. Talk to Luke Johnson at 1:15 about the Saints schedule. So excited to chat with Luke as well. We'll try to go up to Oxford, Mississippi and see if we can't get some information on that Ole Miss team as well and get you ready for the game one of the all-important final SEC series between the Tigers and Rebels over at Alec Box Stadium. So I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow's show, which is always presented by Rouse's. Today's show, you can catch on demand at 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. All of our shows are archived in their entirety there every single day. Off the Bench, Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, AFR, all at 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Also, all on your streaming platform. Speaking of wherever you want to find stuff, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere you find your sound, you can find all of our shows here on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. We appreciate if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Open the show, giving you my thoughts on LSU's spot on the NCAA bubble and where things sit. Koki Riley talking baseball with us at 1:15. Koki just met with Michael Braswell and Jay Johnson over at the box, getting ready for LSU and Ole Miss. It was a what-if Wednesday. What if Maryland Eastern Shore gets swept this weekend? That was the biggest question. Why was that the biggest question? Because Maryland Eastern Shore is 0-45, and that seems impossible in the sport of baseball. We're calling a victory for them this weekend. We'll get you caught up on that on Monday's show. Had my PGA Championship bets at the end of hour number 1. If you want to get filthy rich, Saints schedule release at 2 o'clock. LSU in the transfer portal at 2:15. And my SEC Baseball Power Rankings at 2:30. That's it for us here on this Wednesday. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We are back tomorrow, same time and same place, 1 to 3 every single weekday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.